We toss the word legend around as though we really mean it, but I think tonight we can use it with a lot of sincerity and genuine thought of these guys. To accept their induction into the 2010 ARIA Hall of Fame, please welcome on stage the Church.
Who you trying to get in touch? Who you trying to get in touch? Who you trying to get in touch? I'm almost with you. I can sense it, wait for me. I'm almost with you. Is this the taste of victory? I'm almost with you. Wow, George Negus. Next time I appear in Waverley Court, will you come and be a character witness for me, please? That's got to carry some weight, right? Oh, look, you know what? You know, in rock and roll we procrastinate a lot, and I said, I was saying to these guys, so I'm going to have a speech. No speech. And then I haven't got a speech. I could have had a speech going on the thing down there like Chuggy did. I haven't got a speech. The truth is, as I was sitting here, I realised something I've always thought. I think of people in Australia. I felt sorry for people in England. When I first met Marty, he didn't know about all the amazing music we had in Australia. And I spent all this time, we were playing him The Real Thing and The Master's Apprentices. And I grew up in Canberra. And to me, Australian music, there was no question about whether it was as good as the other stuff. It was. There was the American stuff, there was the English stuff, and there was the Australian stuff. And the first thing I ever saw was a package tour with Normie Rowe and the Easy Beats and MPD Limited and Bobby and Laurie. No, they did it. So when I hear a love call, and everybody was stamping on the floor, and it was amazing. And then all the bands that came up, bands we don't think of a lot now, like the Dave Miller set. Do you remember that song? Do you remember that song? He's got his love to keep him warm. It was amazing stuff. People overseas never got to hear it. Peter and I went and saw Hush at the Canberra Theatre. We thought they were amazing. When Les got to this, we were going, wow, this is great, get rocked. Then we did a gig and we turned up and Skyhooks were playing. I couldn't believe how amazing Skyhooks were, not just because they were funny and stuff, but this kind of the dual guitar thing they had going on. Years later, the Church were supporting the Sunny Boys at a festival. We decided to be late because we weren't going on before the Sunny Boys. And we were standing there and we'd had explained it quite adequately why we were legitimately late. And Red Simons came in and said, I know you meant to do it. It's all part of the game. You were meant to be late. You didn't want to go on before them. And he kind of reopened the whole thing up again. It was an accident. It was great to be busted by Red Simons. So many amazing Australian bands. The people we have been inducted with, I almost said induced. The people we have been inducted with tonight are amazing. The Models, an amazing band. I read a review of myself that said I was weird and angular. I went and saw the Models play, and when I saw Sean Kelly, I felt like Doug Parkinson. He was so much weirder and more angular than me. A year later, I went to a party in a house in Melbourne, and I chatted up a girl with red hair, and it turned out to be Sean's girlfriend. And when we received our awards from 3XY for the most promising bands of 1981, they said, go and shake hands with your award, and Sean Lennon said, Steve, you're a... And it put me off awards until tonight. This is the first award ceremony I've been at. The Models are really, truly amazing band. Okay, the Loved Ones. I agree with Chuggy. The Loved Ones insinuated so much raw, dirty sexuality, much more than Mick Jagger, much more than anyone else. When you heard them, you knew, even though I was 12, I knew there was something very rude going on in the world of the adults. And amazing the way he sang. It was just like that to authority, but not with the sort of blatant stuff you have nowadays of axing school teachers and strippers. It was just implied, and that's why it was so much better. And I still don't know, was Jerry Humphries Barry Humphries' brother or not? He wasn't. Okay. It's what? He encouraged the rumour. Wow, the Loved Ones, Magic Box. I remember in the 80s we were still raving about Magic Box all the time. Listen to Magic Box, a fantastic record. John Williamson, look, I don't know a real lot about country, but I've had 5 daughters and all of them at some stage I've amused with that. You silly galah, I'm better by far than a white cockatoo or a budgeriggar. They squeak and squawk and try and talk. Why, me and them's like cheese and chalk. Poetry, man. Johnny Young, I remember I used to do an imitation of you at school. Carolyn, used to clap with your hands were straight out when you clap. Where is he? You did, didn't you? Your records were on Clarion label. Normie Rose records were on Sunshine, and Ray Brown's were on Lead On. But they all kind of looked the same. They were all festival. I reckon Smiley. I reckon The Star, which is an amazing song. The Step Aside. And The Real Thing. I had the pleasure of playing bass for Russell when he was inducted a couple of years ago. I was so overcome that I completely fucked up most of the bass line in it. And our Mellotron blew up. But still, what an amazing... I was living in Canberra at the time. The Real Thing was #1 for about 16 weeks. It was #1. It didn't go away, and it was just like omnipresent. And I hadn't had any LSD by that stage. But I knew what it was going to be like when I finally had it. Amazing. And a wonderful irony that you're Mr. Clean and you wrote these songs. He wasn't Mr. Clean. Wow. And then, of course, that whole thing with Molly had the coaxial cables with the 2 8 tracks in Melbourne. It's just an amazing, legendary record. People overseas are they're crazy to have missed out on that. Why weren't all those songs hits in England and America? I don't know either. Who else was there? Is that everybody that was on with us? We had some amazing adventures in the old days with Chuggy. Back in 1981, Chuggy was our manager. He was fantastic.
Try it on.
Try it on. Be like this fucking 25